Well, let me say good morning. This is African Actions Network 2A Radio TV. My name is Tayubi Garnett, and today we are privileged to have with us on Inside Liberia the former election boss of the Republic of Liberia, appointed by Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to study affairs of electioneering matters in this country. And so Liberia is barely 9 months to this much talk about 2023 presidential and legislative elections. And so, as someone have served in such a very pivotal position when it comes to election matters in this country, he has some concerns, and we thought to get his own perspective as it relates to the upcoming or the ensuing presidential and legislative elections now scheduled for October 10 of this year. And so, with us this morning is Honorable James Framoya, former election boss of the Republic of Liberia. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yeah, I guess this is your second appearance on African Actions Network.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, it's good to have you on. How about things, man? It's been long.
Well, thank God for life. Take it one day, day at a time, and doing okay.
Someone want to ask, since Mr. James Framoya left the post as election commission boss, what has been some of his workings in Liberia?
Well, I was in 2013 nominated to head the National Commission of Small Arms by Madam Sirleaf. I was confirmed by the Senate, and at least like what I did at the Election Commission, I took that particular institution from nowhere in one tight office space. I took it to a level where we had a respectable office that you look at and be proud, because the Small Arm Commission is you have the membership in about 13 West African countries. So if you go to other countries, you see their offices, their head offices, and you come to Liberia, you'd be ashamed of where we were when I took over. So I made it possible for other kind of office space that were presentable and representative of Liberia. So I'm proud of that. In addition to the staff that recruited, and we left our mark there. So people who
That was at the
Small Arm
commission.
Commission, yeah, I was there for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, for the tenure position when the 5 year ended, 2018, I had to step down. Yeah.
Okay, but we are so much more concerned. We are in election year, and you served as the election boss of Liberia before in a very tense election, so to speak. And you were appointed by the president, former president of the Republic of Liberia, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, to study affairs of that electoral body, particularly for the 2011 elections, as to be corrected. But what has been the ties between you and Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? Was her appointment based on some political will, recommendations from other civil society organizations, or was it just a joyous day breaking woke up and just got the appointment?
Firstly, I have worked with several places.
Okay.
Before the war, I graduated from University of Liberia in 1980. 1981, I went to my home county, Lofa, to teach. I will remain and obtain some fabulous job in the morning one was looking for, because we already had established ourselves at LU. I was editor-in-chief for the student newspaper in 1978. I was chairman of SOUP for 2 years, 1979, and my senior year. So those are records one can be proud of as a student among your colleagues. So when I graduated from the University of Liberia, I will remain Monrovia to get a big job. Like the Ibama Family of Minister of Education, he taught me at LU. My qualification. I could become one director here with car assigned to me, but I decided to go home to teach Wanyama Model Upper High. After for a few months, there was a vacancy for vice principal for administration, and the principal encouraged me to apply so that could be of help to him because of my contact in Monrovia, and I believe we got things done. I did it, and at my age at that time, when my mother we talking about that was a huge campus. You know, I mean, that was a huge school we're talking about. You know, so I accepted that offer. You know, and when I had, you know, man, take the ball from here, man. Man, how do
Okay, so sorry for the distraction. Let's just continue from where we stopped.
Okay, yeah, you know, so we're talking about a school that had a population of over 1,000 students those days. I mean, fabulous campus, you know, staff quarter, senior staff quarter, and so forth. So that I had that background. From there, during the interim period, I was fortunate to have been one of the first to come in this country.
Talking about during the time of the late Dr. Sawyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the US because, you know, we struggled. I took part in political activities, you know, under Dr. Sawyer. We formed LPP. I was a founding member of the Liberian People's Party under the leadership of Dr. Eamon Sawyer, the late Dr. Sawyer. So rest in peace. And people know the record, those who were mature, you know, they knew the kind of politics of the day that you don't even see it today, you know, dynamic, real, vibrant, you know, opposition saw in this country. You know. So because of our stance against the establishment of that time, our party suffered more than another party, the Liberian People's Party in this country, in terms of imprisonment, forced imprisonment, Sawyer, ourselves. We had that sort of a history of struggle in this country. And as I said, I didn't have to come in Liberia. I mean, at the time, I came September 24, 1990, or in the United States, applied for political asylum. It was granted based on the record we have about our imprisonment, 10 months in jail. So I didn't have problem. I had American refugee passport. But because of love of country, when I got to the Gambia, where the interim government was based, just to spend 2 weeks with the Dr. Sawyer and return to the US, because my status was clear. So ECOMOS said they needed an advanced team of the interim government to come in country. That's how I decided to, I told Dr. Sawyer was coming. Dr. Liva Zanga, Congo joined us. One of our friends, John Stewart, we met in Freetown, National, one of our friends, Nathaniel Bear, not Bear, joined us. You know, so that is a, and besides that, you know, I work at the University of Liberia under Dr. Sawyer, and when I left Banyama Model after I went to LU, became teaching assistant, and had experience there, you know. So when I left the country, it was after 1985, the body, you know, quote unquote coup attempt, you know. So I left the country and went to Ghana. From there, I never came to Liberia. I went to the US. So I had a record of, you know, what I can point at, of working, appropriate education, and delivering. You know, I ran a resource center here, you know, during Charles Taylor time, Liberia Democracy Resource Center. And it was known here just to helping students free of charge. You should go there, read newspapers, books on democracy, internet services where you just pay minimum amount of money. You know, so those are the activities that we, you know, more had the background. And it was from that background that I was seconded by civil society organizations.
Oh, just as I asked a question. Because I just thought it came as a joyous daybreak.
No. I was seconded, but Ansoli was not even around. It was Billy Bryant time. the late Chairman Judy Bryant, who came from the Accra Peace Talk, civil society seconded Francis Johnson Morris Allison, seconded Elizabeth Nelson, who later became a deputy. So that's how we got there. And each of us have a track record, a background. You look at Francis Johnson Morris Allison, her background. Elizabeth Nelson, you see the background, you can tell, So that's the kind of record that we have had, over the years, So it's we didn't just come from the clear blue, I can point out some of my students who became minister.
And so your appointment or preferment as election boss was not solely dependent on the president, but she made the appointment through recommendations.
No, first of all, not. She met me already
as a commissioner,
as our invite number 2, President Johnson Morris Allison. Because it was Judy Bryant time that the recommendations were made. So we conducted a 205 election after we, the pool was constituted as such. So when Madam Salif came in, we had the election. Of course, 2005 she won. 2006, Francis Johnson Morris Allison had already been sent with justice as minister. So she elevated me to number 1 position from number 2 position. Yeah, and I believe it was based on she looked at people's credentials, what they like, not like she was doing me a favor. I was already number 2 there. And she knew me. I mean, she knew me, let me put it that way. She knew me. We did some political work together, both at home here and in exile. But that was not, she didn't put me on the commission.
Okay, I think that is clear. I just wanted Liberians to grab this. Because this question always comes in.
And besides that, I was never ever a member of UP. At no point in time I ever joined UP. Contrary to what CDC people used to always say that I was an executive committee member, I never ever joined UP. I was a founding member of Liberian People's Party, and I never left Liberian People's Party until I was seconded to the National Election Commission. Then I resigned my membership because being on the commission is not on the basis of partisanship. People we don't have that system in Liberia. It should be people who are not linked with a party. It means that you can't come from a party. I mean, you come from there, but you have to sever your relationship with that party. So that's I wanted to make that clear.
Yes, because anytime you speak of this, and the allegation that were all around the corridors in Liberia was a fact that probably there was some a shifting of results from the major contender of the 2011 elections to that of the ruling establishment, then Unity Party, with the case of Bobby Livingstone. I just want you to explain to Liberians what really transpired there, because they always use this as a means of saying that probably you were a bear share with the government.
Yeah. But you see, we live in a society where people who accuse others should be able to make their case in a court of law. If they really have a case, anything that makes sense, elementary sense, not just another kind of sense, but the elementary sense of all. A chairman doesn't manufacture figures. Running to be representative, I'm not the one that will give you the votes. It's through signature. You have your agent. They are on the field. They check the number. The chairman is just to read the number that comes from the field. Even if there's any mistake, you who took part in the election, you have your figure. So any honest person will be able to know that. And this is where the dishonesty on the part of CDC came in. When they know that they didn't come first, the records are still there. The record, not like banana to say you get rotten.
But the results were shifted.
It was never. How will it be shifted?
It was just a figure, was not a result. Just a figures.
But what constitutes result? It's a figure that comes from the field. That what constitutes result. When they say you got 1.5 million votes or 600,000 votes, that's the figure that translates into the number that make you to either win or so forth.
So what really transpired?
what happened is that, and I have gone over it over and over. We had a situation where when I was giving the result in the hall name after me, Gentleman Conference or at the NEC. But then, Mr. Livingston, who was public relations person, had brought a draft letter. I remember this was on a Tuesday when I was giving the last result. That in 2005, a letter was written to the two parties that were going for the runoff. So that draft, you know what I mean, to just read it, live, because we're talking about the moment where international media, everybody, you're going to be giving final result. So it was my deputy who said, but Bobby, the chairman is too busy, the letter can go later. It's just for the formality now, this is the most important one, giving the result now. At an interlude, I decided to look at the draft letter that Bobby brought. When I look at it, the result was swapped. Call your attention. I called my deputy, Elizabeth Nelson, attention to it. Bobby, this is what he wanted me to read live. He said it was on error. So I didn't read it. I get the result, nobody have contention, when the result. So I don't know what the issue.
Well, when letters went out.
Wait, I've already done the business, the result that came out was never altered. The one that I read, it's the same number that stands today. So later on, Bobby brought a letter that he made correction. I made some correction on what he brought. Just to send, it's just a placement. You came first, you came second. As I said, it's determined by the votes you collected, not by a letter written by chairman to get you figure. So let's be clear on that. If you don't have that clarity, then there's a problem. Because it's like you take a test. Grade you score you as a student, you mark your paper, you have it, you know it. So I mean, I think there was nothing done. So when he brought a letter, whatever correction I made, brought the final one. I read it, and the number as well the same. How now letter went saying that CDC came twice is that God can can say that. But as I'm concerned, it came second, and I still stand by it. The record still showing. So it's no big deal. But when they decided to make issue out of nothing, because they know they were not prepared to go for a roundup election, they had my name all over that. Cheated them without any inch of evidence whatsoever. And I say challenge, I know them. Each time I have opportunity to speak, I challenge. They let them come forward and show that I did something wrong. And then come back to their own people that they have in government. Beginning with Deveta Brown Latana, who is the current chair, who was caught stealing, broad daylight, you know it.
Well, we are coming to that.
Okay,
we just look at your past.
So that's the fact that I challenge anybody. That's the fact as they are. The results stood as where UP came first, CDC came second. There was no winner. In fact, someone then go say what they won. If somebody win, you don't go for runoff. It's placement. And no carry over. You can start from scratch. You know that. And when you go for a runoff, you say, well, the one I got, from the first round, no, you from zero or starting. So I don't know what a big deal. The challenge is still with them to prove me wrong. When Bromsky said he was cheated, 2017 he went to court. Records are there. Our people with senses, with intellect, do. It's not just what comes from your mouth. Especially when your mouth is not credible, for the most part.
Okay, so let's move forward. Mr. Fumara, on Tuesday, the 10th of January, the NEC officially launched its revised key electoral dates for the 2023 presidential and legislative elections. And they maintained the constitutional date of October 10, 2023 as election day. Now, you being a former election boss and an ex-official of the NEC, what is your own take about NEC's recent action, launching election dates? They've also set a date aside for the biometric voter registration exercise. They've mentioned March 20 as the first phase. The kickstart of the first phase will run up to April 9, and the second phase will run from April 21 up to May 11. They've segmented it. The first 6 counties to be affected will be Montserrat, Margibi, Grand Bassa, Bombing, Grand Cape Mount, and Baburu counties. And the next 9 counties will follow from April 21 up to May 11. That will be the end of the second phase of the voter registration exercise. So these dates have been announced by the NEC. What is your own take?
Well, yeah, I saw the timeline that you just have been browsing through. I can't say for sure if the timeline can be maintained, in a way. You're saying that they have set the constitutional date for election is there, but it requires a great deal of work to meet up that time. It's not just getting because it is there. We must prepare a timeline to meet it. All what you're supposed to do, if they are not done, the timeline will mean nothing. Under this government, we have has cases where elections have not been held on time. You know the constitution. That is clear. And you know that.
Did it happen on your watch as well?
It never ever happened. It never. I challenge them about it. But this thing started 2017, actually. That was Madam Salih time. Yeah, there where it started. But before then, we had conducted election on time. Not 1 day delay. Do your research. Under my chairmanship, we conducted 9 by-elections. 9. And we never had problem. We conducted the presidential election and legislative election, the first phase, including voter registration, which was not problematic as 2017. 2017 was a mess to roll out the registration that was carried on by NEC. It was a total mess that we have not recovered from up to this point. It was messy compared to what we did 2011 because we have people who knew what they were doing. And that's the key to success. We have people who know what they are doing. You have, quacks, claiming to, know something they don't know about. It can lead to a problem, and that's the situation we have with the voter registration. And that is key. We have to all bear that in mind. Voter registration is key. If it's not in the proper hand, it could lead us into problem. 2017 was not in proper hand. I can say that over and over. And we saw the result. People, it created so much confusion, But we cannot say that is water under the bridge and focus on what is before us is coming. Election, as I said, like another thing you asked about how we got on the commission. I told you the caliber of people and their background. It's important, what you have done in the past. People can look and say, oh, that the X, Y, and Z in the particular area. We are actually my own background, the background of my deputy, Elizabeth Nelson, that you saw her. She was co-administrator of the Supreme Court. She's somebody who, Elizabeth Nelson, or what, you don't have the building looking as bad off as it is. So one of our partners raised the issue of one chairman that how we had the building. I said, no. Look at how the building looked like. You can't even paint the building to give a good face look. For God's sake, in that kind of strategic place where, car passing, that's the main role, look how it's looking. That building, as I said, first with the qualification of the team we had, Francis Johnson, Murray Allison, Jonathan Guido, Elizabeth Nelson, the late Amonsoko Sako, people who have the requisite pedigree that you can look at who can, do a piece of job. But they're not play thing. So to the best of my knowledge, people are not there on the basis of party line. That was never so as it is now with this board, which is clearly a CDC board of commissioner.
That is great.
It is indeed. Association, you can see what it is like. But that be beside the point, you need to have the requisite qualification to be on top of the job. The tax on hand. It's not a small thing. I've said we are graduating, we say we are graduating from the optical mark recognition, OMR, from the manual registration to biometric, which is very new to us. And then we taking it to a major election, presidential and legislative election, and now by election we're talking about. I'm not apologize it with a by election. We went through that. A lot of questions still hanging. Understand, I don't know whether which part of the materials are here. They are at the owners and NEC having meeting with political parties today. We need to get the full detail of what is available. Say the material coming the 20th of March.
That is when they are expected to kickstart the entire process March 20th.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's, the material being there. So, I mean, it's how do you now, the training aspect, question, next way is to be very much okoron with the technology, because they need to educate the larger population. You know, you can compress time in election. I think that what they're trying to do. So you look at the timeline, keenly. I mean, there are some places they talk about hearing. I mean, the crisscrossing. You know, them are overlapping. So it needs some level of clarity as but it requires preparation. So this is why we think that the Sunday biometric is new. They don't know about it. Nobody else, have tried it before. I have observed election in numerous places. 2019 was in Nigeria, using biometric. I was in the Abuja area. Some of the machines had problems, overheating, So, I mean, they had to send to headquarters. What if that happened to an isolated area? You had a kind of thing that, it's in Nigeria, an advanced country. They have been using it. We were for the first time coming to the kind of big election. So there's a lot of question that still lingers around in terms of, if anything had come about, 1 year plus before election, you don't have flexibility for people to know what to do. But the timing is my worry. It's really because to spend the time training people for the larger population, you got to understand it. I don't know how that will be done easily.
Mm.
Yeah, and they say there's some portion that will be doing manually and all that one. We need to get clear cut understanding. And you go in the media, I think they need to educate you because you are critical in educating a lot of people in the process. And this you, as a public office, nowadays there's like I think a lot interacting with the media, so that the viewer to once you have nothing to hide, transparency is the watchword for election. Be transparent. No one can say, "Oh, from my time they were not transparent." I always stress the point that the data center was open. We used to invite politicians to go there, including current president. So we are talking there. The public area is strategic, the nerve center of the commission. You should keep it a secret except you have something to hide. That's the only way you want people to, politicians, they are the end user. Or else you have access to the data center that you know the caliber of staff that are there. You're not going to recruit, data entry clerk that's partisan group, just, because you the power that be, that's not how it would be. That should be an independent body. 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 That should be an independent And the members should be able to stand up to even a president. They will not fire you for cause. How would Madam Solegun tell me what to do?
Like seriously.
I mean, she knows it. I mean, friends of mine lost election on my watch. I always say it. It's Blamo Nelson, who now ambassador to Japan. Wife was my deputy. He was incumbent in Grand Crew. And he had been a friend of mine for many, many years before I even got to know his wife. He lost the election. As a matter of fact, he lost to Dr. Peter Poma, CDC. If I were making a choice, obviously I would go for Blamo. Between Blamo and Dr. Poma. Blamo and I have come a long way. But he lost the election and he was incumbent. His wife was my deputy. When Dr. Kuma complained that the election magistrate used to live with Blamo Nelson, and the other contender was the superintendent, one Rosalind Snell. She observed, the great complaint. I decided to change the magistrate. From Grand Crew, sent it to Maryland, brought the Maryland magistrate and the assistant. Blamo lost the election. The second one coming in Wizard. Senator Raji, you know him.
Mm.
Huh? Coming in 1976. We did political work together. Our chairman he contested against the late Nathaniel William. I went to Raji, to preside over the election as chairman. And we declared the result, right there, Nathaniel William won. What you do live after you, people talk about it. People see. So I can walk with my hair hard. I didn't go stealing money. That's not part of my makeup. And at the same time, nobody, I respect authority. As I said, Madam Sali, respecting her, she's smart poison, but she also got respect for me. She know what I stand for. I'm not a deal maker. I work out of conviction, share conviction, inner conviction. And I believe that this is right. I go after a clear conscience. That's the kind of person I am. So being there, yeah, she put me there because she that the job. And the record show in terms of achievement, not only for election, but every structure you see on that street, on my initiative, I didn't. The government was renting the head office on 16th Street there, where they had a supermarket now. That was the next for people. You know how much money government was paying? 100,000 US every year. That kind of money. And of course, people get their rent. People come and say, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yeah, no commissioner. I'm the chairman. I will eat a lion's share. Other people, selfish people will say, but let's stay here because every year government will have to pay the rent. So that's only other people. I fought behind you say. Two different mission directors have that headquarters constructed. I was doing that with my personal building. From there, after I convinced the last user mission director, rented the building 2010. When they are very proud. And so we got space here for a national warehouse. We were renting a warehouse across to start base. That warehouse is there. Ebola time help school things there. I forgot a conference center, which they got the name after me. When I release out. I feel proud that I sat there and I had something to point at. And there was some recognition made to even name the building that I put up after me. So these are things because for someone who travel, go to places and see other people doing things, if we had the opportunity to make a difference, we will.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely will. Nobody say that he's a Puritan. I can't say I'm a Puritan, no. But I know at least what is right, what to do right, what to make a country proud. That's the kind of thing that but so I be on the commission, as I said, Madam Sally didn't do me a particular favor. I was number two. But then I don't know, difficult for her, to say, well, let me tell you from my asset position, my ability, I was number two to bring somebody and put over me. I mean, people are done it. I did nothing stop her, but I think she knew that the right decision she made.
So almost the same thing interplay with the appointment of Madam David Brown Lasana. What can you say to that? Talking about seniority clause, one person, I mean, the next person succeeds the predecessor. I think that's a good start. So why would you allege that it's a partisan commissioner?
Well,
hasn't she been in the system?
Yeah, but how did she get there? Because my understanding was that the CDC did not want Councillor Jerome Kukwaya to become chairperson of NEC. And Madam as chair. So CDC said Councillor Kukwaya contested the 2011 election on UP ticket in Bond County. Yeah. So that was their contention. But then my source tells me that Madam CDC said the only reason why the only reason they will agree if Madam Sali have one of them get on the board as commissioner, one of their members.
That was the package.
Yeah, that was they put forward. And Madam Sali bought it according to my source and told them to advance a name. That I understand Mr. Nadana Magi was Secretary General. He put his name forward. And Madam Sali said no. According to my source, you are too conspicuous. Secretary General of your party. You bring somebody less known, less conspicuous. That accountability that was recommended. So you tell me, what interest would you be serving? First, the Madam Sali should not have done that. I think it was very, very wrong to make that kind of compromise, knowing that that's not how the commission is supposed to be constituted, not on partisan basis. So you can't strike a deal to satisfy your particular narrow interest.
But probably CC didn't send her there because probably she was a partisan, but probably she was the one person that they saw trusted as an independent person that would sit on the commission.
Somebody, CDC will be sending somebody that you're not people then. I mean, you will not serve their interest. Come on, man. Let that go over there. Yeah.
Okay, moving forward. So with this grave allegation of the commission now being a partisan commission, as you outlined some sources you got information from that led to the Senator Madam David Brown Lasana. Do you trust the credibility of the commission?
Well, it's the credibility begins with first the head, as I have said, because I'm not saying to say that as if CDC you are in opposition, you have all the criticism to make about other people, including myself and chairmanship. I never shy away from criticism. I love it. I love the battle of ideas. Yeah, because I'm not somebody who can run away from intellectual exchange. If you're attacking me, you have your ground to stand on. Otherwise, I able to get back at you. We did the best we could at that commission. The records are there. But we're conducting election. People were seeing it on the internet in the US. That's how far we have gone in the process. Yet, the incident I told you about when it came, the standard they had. CDC, oh, I did this, I did X, Y, Z. Let's look at all what I explained to you with the issue of the letter. There was nothing harmful there. CDC didn't get the standing that they were claiming to have. They couldn't challenge me in court because they know it was a blatant lie. But I decided to step down because of my character. I carry my name around, all kind of thing. They were not prepared to go for election. They were using me as a smokescreen. I decided to step down. I still have months ahead of me for my tenure to have ended. But I did that so that knowing that one person is not important more than the country. Now you're a group of people. That's all. Why didn't you do anything wrong? I said, let me remain there. The burden of proof are going to be on that shoulder to go show that they came number one. You go to court, you show you just now you're morphed, and not morphed up. You're going to show your evidence. You got to exhibit what brought you to that figure. You're not talking about imaginary thing. You got to go and exhibit how you got that number. They got to add up, man. I'm a bad teacher too, and I'm a good math student. So I stepped down. Now, just support that with what Madam Edda Brown Lieutenant did. 2020, after the special senatorial election, those 4 vacancies that were created in bombing, there's no elected senator, Bong,
current vice president. Prince Moi. So, okay. 2020.
Yeah.
I'm reflecting on 2017. Sorry.
20. Then in Nimba,
Jeremiah Kun.
In Brangida, this guy, so open. So we can do that. Now, NEC, in conducting those 4 by-elections, the chairman went and said that they needed 20 thermometers. Mind you, the polling places for all the 4 counties were more than 300. So assuming that you needed a thermometer, nobody had time for COVID business at that time. Even when COVID was raging, nobody had time for a thermometer. Why you do with 20 thermometer? How about the rest of the area now? What would become of them? But that besides the point. They went and one of the thermometers just to lease for $9,166 US, almost 10,000 US to lease. And people who did who Google it on Amazon said that to buy and keep as your own is not more than 500 US. You got me? You see the kind of thing just to lease. And who did she give the contract to? Her biological brother. I'm not the one saying that. It appeared in their photo. I don't know. You never saw it in Data Observer. Her biological brother had an IT firm along with another family person. 3 of them had a picture there. Now, please tell me, CDC have accepted anything like that when they were in opposition? I want you to answer. Would they have accepted that? Just one letter thing that didn't have any substance. They make up story. The noise they made about it. Because the opposition sat here, so finally, didn't think she's not supposed to be sitting over there. What message have you sent out there? That you're credible? Who can rely on you? That racketeering. Classic case of racketeering.
So are you questioning the credibility of the NEC to conduct the upcoming election?
Well, I've just told you what the head, starting with the head and the incompetence that's there. This is why we made a recommendation by saying that the only person was saying that you need to step down with the letter because of the reason that we gave. Then the biometric thing we're talking about again. The second reason was that first we conducted a referendum along with the special senatorial election against all advice that people gave that were not appropriate to have a referendum at that time.
Did you advise as well?
Huh?
Did you advise?
Our institution said it was, inappropriate at the time, And I'm not just speaking at team, I'm speaking at the NGO that I had Center for Development and Election Management.
Okay.
Jonathan Widow, myself, and a few other retired NEC people So it was time or not there. Those things require time. You got to educate people. Under my tenure, we conducted referendum the same year of the election, but we didn't combine that. And besides that, the proposition was just full. There were 3 months interval before the election. I know what it takes. Then you have 8 propositions be tied into special senatorial election. The ballots were looking this high. What the understanding? So what the result? Have you asked NEC?
Well, we've asked this question overly. The referendum results are yet to be published.
So you know what we're talking about. That level time. Is that efficiency coming to you? Those are things that people look at and say, look, it's you control government spend money. So it was a waste of money. That's no. Then you come to ECAM, the biometric group that she recommended. That didn't meet the requirement from the get-go. The head of the PPCC put a checkpoint and made it clear to her that this was not, proper. But she started putting obstacles. It took us some time, but because the lady at PPCC know what she talking about. She was one procurement director of NEC. Yeah, she's a smart person. So she finally, because it's all about this greed. You alone, since she unilaterally, took the thing according to her deputy.
Tipla Reeves?
Tipla Reeves, yeah. Tipla came up with a statement. I'm surprised you never found it. Yeah, you can ask her. She came up with a statement. And said that she took the decision unilaterally. Even this biometric group, Tipla made mention about it.
Obviously. I follow that religiously as well.
Okay, Tipla wrote it. I think she put it in black and white. Actually,
I did follow it. She's currently in Grand Bass. I said I did follow it religiously.
Okay, but then so on top of that now, then you have the division. Because if you are a deputy and others not making it, and people are already incompetent for the most part, how you expect to take care of the Herculean tax? This is why we propose counterpart commissioners from ECOWAS, EU, and the UN. Come and sit with them, especially for a team to come and do an assessment. How prepared are we? And not just about next saying it. We're an outsider who know about election. We will ask some critical questions about state of preparedness for that what time. It's not some automatic thing. You gotta be prepared,
But is she giving up any means by which she can have dialogue with some of those institutions you name already or organizations? Are you seeing her willingness to accept a dialogue with the UN, ECOWAS, AU?
Well, I think the people who made the case should be political parties. Yeah, opposition parties should be.
But you are recommending that?
Yeah, it's our institution that recommended this nonsense.
Okay.
Including IT poison. Yeah. So that's the view that we hold, and and the other aspect that even if everything being considered, timely funding of the commission.
Timely funding of the
commission is important.
Okay.
I don't know whether the government is prepared to make timely funding.
Many of our election funds are heavily dependent on foreign aid. But
government has their own responsibility.
That I know.
Yeah, but I said
that I know. One of the major challenges, I think, even during your tenure as head of NEC, one of the major challenges I have been able to witness for the past years now is the fact of mobility. Logistical support. You find the NEC renting trucks, renting pickups during electionary period. Did you design any sustainable model to ensure that NEC can stop this too much issue of complaining over logistic and mobility?
Well, there's no other way around it. You have to rent some car. The view we had at some point was that, look, we use military trucks and what have you.
Mm.
Military government, don't know opposition party opposed to it. The military, then there will be the government that will be important. Just to get balance and then it could reduce the cost. Election material are huge, and they cannot have vehicle of their own to cope with those material. No way, you know. Election come on, but you can have you just have to rent it. But to say, look, or the other job will be that government commandeer vehicle, pickups and other things from different ministries, log them properly. Say you want military vehicle, fine. Ministry of Education, election, they're not long period, just for that short period, you can be able to ask more to be hardly doing anything, most of the ministry anyway. So you get a vehicle, commandeer them, and proper management, liaise with GSA, bro, school, those kind of things.
Will opposition not complain again?
Opposition, I mean, no, what a vehicle. To me, the just idea that I'm putting forward. I mean, it was not really like. Probably, I don't think they will see it like they will look at the military. As much as I didn't see the military to be a problem, but these are not military. They're not security vehicle. I mean, come on, vehicle from ministry. Pickups and even need be jeeps and so forth. Their own driver can be there, but let the ministry take care of GSA and what have you. That can help cut down the cost of renting vehicle. It's costly. Other than that, that's what you have to go through.
Okay, moving forward, you just reminded me of Councillor Tipla Reeves. Just a couple of days ago, she was in Grand Bassa County, Buchanan specifically, with the current magistrate, David Looking, I think that's his name, and they were trying to monitor political party head offices in the county. And from a release, I stand to be corrected, but I think the election laws of Liberia provides that every political party accredited by the NEC should have an office, functional office, in the 15 political subdivisions. And against that backdrop, I went against their release a little bit when they pointed fingers to ICOP, Unity Party, Liberty Party, and the NPC. So I thought to ask myself, are these the only 4 political parties, well as NEC earlier on informed us that they have accredited 23 political parties? And honor your stewardship, honor your watch. Did you encounter similar problems where you have political parties that were fully accredited by NEC, but you did not have structures in the 15 political subdivisions?
Yeah, I mean, that obviously was the case in some instances. I mean, not all the parties that go register can meet the requirement. That's why inspection becomes necessary. But I agree with you that it cannot be on a selective basis, or it shouldn't be seen as being done on a selective basis. You do it across the board, and those parties that don't have head office, president can start it, can do an inspection over here. When they have a fitting head office in the capital here before you talk about going up. So those kind of party can be brought to check, made to have the requisite office space. Otherwise, then that they will be recommended in a way that it will be considered a political party. So they will do that. But if you don't, and a lot of them don't have the money to they just establish themselves for that name recognition, so that at the end of the day, government account back and probably make give you few positions on deputy ministerial posts and that kind of thing there. So
I thought all of these requirements should be put in place before NEC can fully accredit a political party. I stand to be corrected.
That has it has not that have not been probably.
But it should be that way because of the new election law.
No, well, I mean, but before when we were there, we're not like that really. And I mean, if it go that way, it would be better. That would be very rigid. I think we're a little bit more relaxed. But inspection was done. So if the new election law says that it should, you know, I mean, yeah, I think, but it should go because if the UP and Liberty Party then can, I don't know how true that would be. Liberty Party honor Yombly, and then we'll not have Dillon, then they will not be on the head office in Bata, in Ghana.
That is the biggest question because don't forget, however, there are two blocks of the Liberty Party now. The Musa Hassan Beyede block
Yeah,
and the Yomli Kanga
but
block.
the one not recognized by NEC, you know, is actually Yombly. Yeah, I mean, from the last ruling of NEC, so it went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, you know, you go to NEC. I think that was the Tipler team. I mean, that took the overturned the decision that they whether took in favor of
Senator Lawrence has also questioned the credibility of NEC as well. She has also questioned the credibility of NEC, Senator Yomli Kanga Lawrence. But let's move on. Yeah, time is fast spent. We just have to go. So let's move on quickly. I'm also concerned about this issue of the voter registration. According to the new election laws of Liberia, section 3.17 talks about registration processes, some of the requirements, basic requirements as a citizen, and enshrined in that law, you will find passport or other relevant identification that will show that you are a Liberian citizen. How did you go about yours during your chairmanship, and what can we advise the current commission? Because we heard Liberians in the corridor that if you do not have national ID, you cannot register to vote if you do not have passport. But I think you can bring us up to speed with that a little bit.
Well, basically, we conduct a voter registration. That's the primary thing you will need to have. We, in the instant where in the voter registration, somebody question your citizenship, then some probe has to be done. Some community member, community you live in, come and vouch for you. You know, indeed, from here you've been in the community for the amount of time. Then that will be considered. Of course, passport and things, those are authentic. There are not many people have passport in any case. Or birth certificate, those are something required. But NEC did not, from what I gather, did not talk about national ID card being a prerequisite that you should have it. Yeah. In fact, the newspaper story I read, the media appears to say that you have national ID, you can register. I mean, people need to have national ID, which is not true, and which should not be the case because national ID is paid for $5 per card. And if anybody want to even talk about that, that means you will disenfranchise so many people. So NEC, to the best of my knowledge, did not say that. I think if you have it, it will be treated just like if you had a passport or a birth certificate. I think it will be an added advantage, but it will not be. I mean, a prerequisite requirement. That you should have it. But even Maria, how many points the urban setting, how many points in the vote to look up at yeah, you went vote. Nothing else. The politician go and buy. Even that would be too expensive. That's one to do. So that's how it was, and it was working. In other system, people will try to beat the system, but you just got to put maximum time to it, training of your people, appropriate time. That what I'm saying. Time is important. So you can't call on what you supposed to do today, what you should have done yesterday. We wasted a whole lot of time. But you look at the previous timeline that we didn't go by, you know how many months have passed. a lot of things have been done, but I've not yet touched them.
So are you not seeing October 10th as election day?
Well, I mean, I don't want to, be an alarmist and what have you, but I hope we have it at that time. Let things work well.
Okay.
We all will be following keenly, and because we hope for the best. That's what most Liberians are looking forward to. I mean, election for president come, every 6 years, representative 6 years, senator 9 years. So the people should have the opportunity to be able to make that determination as to who should be the leader.
Okay. Just before we go, there are two more things quickly. District 11 representative of Montserrat County, Honorable Richard Namwekun, has raised an issue when it comes to the delineation of these districts. He is saying that LHS just conducted the National Population Housing Census. The results are yet to be made known to Liberians, and we are just at the verge of kickstarting a major voter registration exercise. So he's saying, well, results come from LHS or not, let us maintain the districts and we'll move on to election. Thereafter, we can do the demarcation. What could be your own candid advice about this whole LHS and NEC issue? Because we know that LHS, like you met a fresh census just being conducted. 2008, it was conducted. You conducted election 2011, so it was a fresh start. You had statistical data to work with, but now we do not have one. And many of the elections being happened from 2018 up to current, we know the amount of registered voters in a particular constituent or constituency or a particular county based on the NEC registration records. Do you think it will be safe for us to go to election this way?
Well, firstly, I think the census was not properly planned for. There were a lot of report of corruption. Were eating the census money, and nothing happened to anyone about it. It's just until the point where to satisfy our international donor, they had to cook up something. They were not prepared. You know how it started. All the yo-yo behind it. Because what you do, you don't plan properly, just don't work that way. The point that a declaration was made by the president, which meant in effect kick-starting the census. That day, the holiday was declared on a Friday, was stay home. And people were not ready. Nobody went to anybody home. No enumerator went to home. But before people go to home, they got to do the prerequisite. The mapping of houses, go there, interview people, those are the prerequisite. You do all of that, everything was in place now, at the end up holiday would have been declared. Right away, enumerator start working. But people didn't do that. Put the president under the impression that everything was set. The holiday, nobody could stay. It was 2 weeks before somebody came here. I was not even home. My daughter provided them visit. So I don't see how that figure can now play a factor, whatever they come up with in this coming election. I think it's a source of some problem. I agree with what the lawmaker said. Full of no hate. People, you don't, the horror thing that they're doing, to cook up something that will not be, to a good taste, that you want to, infuse it in the coming election. I think it will not go well, for Liberia. I don't see that. People had ample time to have conducted census. You talk about 208, our chairman NEC, when we conducted that census was conducted. That are limited and all of it. Again, that shows you the seriousness of a regime. I want to do certain thing and you got the appropriate people. There was no problem associated with that census. Conduct the census about every 10 years. What happened to 2018? You say, well, this government just came to power. They're getting 1 more year. How about 2019? 2020? Even 2021? You have conducted a census. You have census conducted more than a minimum a year before you go to election. You can't be doing that at the time you have election. No. Doesn't make sense anywhere. They have all the time in the world. I've done the census, without jamming, running into election year. There got to be some other motive, done properly. So how can you do it? We have resorted to going to constituency-based election as called for by the Constitution. And now a chairman. After the census was conducted 2008, 2009, we communicated with the legislature. We wrote to the speaker at that time, Alex Tyler, the president pro tem at the time, Senator Watterson, Tito Watterson. We wrote two that the census have been conducted within that to revert to constituency-based election. But the electoral district or the emergency arrangement that came about as a post-war situation. But we have now gone through the emergency period. We need now to go back to the Constitution so that we have a threshold that we get the number of persons entitled to a representative. So
is it 20,000?
That was in the past, but the population has grown.
Okay.
So we even recommended 45,000. But the two leaders from less populated counties, so they were not hard on our recommendation. But they didn't have to accept it, but they needed to come up with their own threshold. Even if they say, well, 35,000, that was it. But it did not be there where they didn't want to lose seat, blah, blah, blah. That was not a question of losing seat. I mean, if you have, for me, you didn't have 3 representatives, you have a population for 3, you just can't have it. Population, representation is by number to be in the House. Our the Senate is an equilibrium. For a big or small county,
you got 2 senators.
Yeah, but it can't be a representative by number. As a result, most of the smaller counties, less populated counties, Cape Mountain, Pommy, River Says, River G, Grand Cru, you see the number that, the electoral district, the number of persons in those districts, you compare with Moshwado, the electoral district, the number in Moshwado, Nimba, Bong, so it shouldn't be that way, but you can do it in a way that no county will go for representative. I mean, no matter what threshold you said, county had a representative. That's how democracy works. Coming after the US, you can have states like New Hampshire or Delaware compare themselves with California. I mean, that's you would think that you're crazy. The largest population in the US. So they come up with the largest number of representatives, but yet they have 2 senators, like all the other smaller states. So that's where the balance comes in. So I think I agree with the representative.
Okay.
In the sense that it should be done properly. Yeah. It's not hesitating, that you now you come up with figure that really become questionable, and you want people to use it.
Okay, we'll soon be saying goodbye. My name is Tar Garnett. I'm in conversation with the NEC former boss, Honorable James Famoyan. Just before I leave, you said, what could be your candidate advice to the NEC? Though you've questioned their credibility, but yet still they're the one they're spearing the election matter in this country currently. And I don't think the president will want to recall the appointment or so. I don't also want to believe that Madam Deviato Brown Lasana will want to resign, despite all of the issues that have been raised against her. Testimony to the fact that she was engaged with nepotism, giving contract out to family relatives and stuff like that. All of those things can cause her to resign, but I don't think she have that will to resign now. So what could be a passionate call to them to move on to the election?
Well, I think firstly, when it comes to individuals have their name to protect in this world, and I think a good name wherever is is better than riches. Yeah, good name you have, wealth can be amassed differently
Mm.
through theft, through all forms, you know. So that cannot be. I think the board as it is, I'm not been saying that they should remove them. My urge, my recommendation have been that we have international partners to sit in there to help. In that case, they're not coming to favor any particular. They're not coming for any one political party. I think that even the ruling party should benefit from credible election. I mean, it should be their concern to make sure that the process is free, fair, and transparent. Let playing field be level as we did in the past. People can see the benefit from it as well. Don't make it clouded, you know.
Mm.
So that should be the urge. People come, then the data center we'll talk about. But by and large, political party have to, opposition have to take the lead in this matter, but they have the biggest stake in it. They are the end user of the process. Therefore, so they have to do that. But besides that, again, they have to make sure that the NEC is funded in a timely way. Because I don't think the commission will want to complain if they're not getting money on time. They probably want to sit, they want to talk about it, but someone asked me when we were there what happened. I said, but say what you made about Madam Salif. She knew her responsibility. We never had problem getting funding. Funding came in time. As a result, work that was supposed to do, we did it in time. But money that you're supposed to receive, if you can't get it, then you're not talking as board commissioner, will catch up with you. But there are certain things you're supposed to do, and then by now, magistrates should be on wheel. It should be, election magistrates should have vehicle. Budget have been presented a long time. Election don't take you by surprise. After every 6 years, we know it. Once one election ends, the next one begins. So no one can say, oh, we didn't know. No. Rather than that, from the election, things don't go well, you'll be running the risk of having interim arrangement. And who stand to benefit from it? I think that's what the country wants. But if the government doesn't live up to its responsibility to give timely funding, and as I said, you can't cut corner. Right now, as it is, the schedule is compressed. I mean, I can see it is compressed. As time goes on, I mean, we'll continue to follow it through. So, all hope for the best because this is the only country we have, and that particular commission, some of all have specific, affinity. The commission, for the time we spend there, what we did there, we want to see it grow. We have nothing against the poor commissioner as Nigerian, but we think that the right thing should be done, and people should take the work seriously. The last one job there, by time and knowing what you are doing.
Okay, well, Farmer, thanks so much for bringing us up to speed with some of the experiences from the electoral battle of Liberia. Well, folks, my name is Tar Gandet. Honorable James Framoyan, former election boss of Liberia, has been my interviewee this morning. And we have to say goodbye to you. So, wherever you are, many thanks for watching. Share the broadcast, leave your comments as well. And you can join us during our subsequent broadcast.